Okay, so thanks guys. Thanks for joining us today on this introductory webinar for SquaredUp for System Center Operations Manager. My name's Casey Collins and I'm a customer support and solutions engineer here at SquaredUp. And today we'll be taking a look at a demo for our SCOM product. This is a Q&A session, so please go ahead and ask questions in the chat throughout the webinar, and we'll have engineers online ready to respond to your questions. Before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are. So we're SquaredUp, and we've been visualizing IT data for over 8 years now, sitting on top of SCOM. During this time, we've improved the SCOM experience immensely, and have recently brought the same to Azure Monitor with our SquaredUp for Azure offering. Our pricing is available on our website. We believe it should be transparent and easy to understand. We also have a handy pricing calculator over there, which you can find at squaredup.com/pricing. And we have hundreds of loyal enterprise customers. If you check out the stats on the right-hand side there, you can see our customers love our support with a 98% positive feedback rating. They really love coming back year on year, shown by that extremely high renewal rate. And then our above industry average net promoter score. Now, if you're not familiar with NPS, that's a score we're really proud of. I recommend you have a Google just to see how we compare there with the other tech companies out there. And we also have a passionate community of over 2,000 experts helping each other out day to day over on our Community Answers platform. And lastly, once you've seen SquaredUp in action, you'll see how much we really love what we do, and you'll see how much we enjoy helping people visualize their IT data. Now, our vision is to achieve that mythical single pane of glass. That's where every application's monitored data is in one place. So we want you to be able to build out beautiful dashboards for any application in minutes, and doing so by reporting up via KPIs, SLAs, alerting information, ITSM data, all of the above in one consistent portal for your users to consume. We also want to be able to do this for every team. So we believe if every team has a consistent experience of how they consume data, they'd have a unified view of their applications, and it'll be one which they could all understand. And with SquaredUp, you're not only limited to performance or alerting information, you can build views for anyone in your organization. So whether that's a management team, operations, service desk, your app teams, you can go ahead and combine the data from multiple data sources, app and infrastructure, even ITSM, to actually build out these dashboards. And then we believe you should be able to do this from every angle. So we know that each team has a preferred tool set to monitor their applications, and this often leads to what's called swivel chair monitoring, where you have too many portals required to get to that key data. So by integrating SquaredUp with the tools you already have, you can provide your users with a consistent portal for everyone to consume the data. And then we just put some examples down there, things like ServiceNow, App Dynamics, New Relic Pingdom, providing it's got a REST API that can return a JSON formatted response. You can build those dashboards into SquaredUp. Now, what is SquaredUp for SCOM? So it's a very lightweight IIS application, which takes around 5 minutes to install. It comes with a number of out-the-box dashboards for several common objects, including Windows Server, SQL, IIS. We even have community dashboards packs for vendor management packs. This includes things like Office 365, NICE, Veeam, Gripmatics, and more. You're able to build out custom dashboards for your applications in minutes using our easy-to-use intuitive dashboard designer. And we provide you with live views of your monitoring data. So each page in SquaredUp refreshes every 60 seconds, which means you always have access to the latest information. So whether that's SCOM for your alert, health, performance, and SLAs, your external data using API integrations or the SQL tile. We'd like your teams to be able to see the data that matters to them. Also, our interactive drill downs give you more visibility. So when you see the health state of an object change from healthy to critical, the ability to actually drill down into the object to investigate across the object's health, alert, and performance data is critical. And it's critical this is available for the various monitoring you have in place. Our enterprise application designer allows you to map and model your applications using your existing infrastructure and SCOM agents. And our open access feature allows you to share dashboards to the wider organization without having to grant access to SCOM or let alone train them how to use it. And then how how SquaredUp for SCOM works. So you start by downloading the executable and installing it on a Windows VM, which is running IIS. Your users can access SquaredUp via a secure HTTPS link from any browser on any device, and simply by logging in using your Active Directory account. SquaredUp can connect to a single SCOM management group using the SCOM SDK, which we also use for authentication, and we then use that to query for health and alerting information. And where we connect to the SCOM SDK, we adhere to the role-based access that you have in place in your SCOM environment, meaning your users will only be able to see the data and objects that they have access to in SCOM. Additionally, SquaredUp connects directly to the data warehouse using a secure SQL connection. This allows us to query the performance data more efficiently and present it to the user much faster compared to what you'll be used to in the SCOM console. You then have access to the long-term data in the data warehouse, giving you access to things like reporting right out the box. It's important here to note that no data is stored on the SquaredUp server apart from its own configuration, so there's no additional databases required and no duplication of any of your data. Alongside the SCOM connection, you can integrate with your external tools via REST API. Providing the tool can return a JSON formatted response. We give you a number of different options, such as simple, basic, OAuth, and the Azure AD authentication options, and these should cover a majority of the modern tools. And lastly, you can connect to any arbitrary Microsoft SQL database using our SQL tile. All you have to do is simply specify a secure SQL connection string, and then you can go ahead and utilize any existing T-SQL query that you already have. Now, what are enterprise applications? So these allow you to leverage your SCOM agents to map your applications using VADA, and VADA is our visual application discovery and analysis tool. This allows you to build out a topology of your application, so an infrastructure-based view of how it's deployed, and with that you can include the core components, so the core components for your application, such as the SQL level, the IIS level, the Windows service objects. And then on top of that, you can add availability monitoring for your application. And you can do this in the form of simple URL tests, TCP port checks, a custom PowerShell script, or you can go ahead and use any existing availability monitoring that you already have configured in SCOM. Enterprise applications are then saved into SCOM as a new management pack, providing you with an object you can build dashboards with. You can then view the key performance data for the objects that are in the enterprise application, and then go ahead and pair this with data from external application monitoring tools. And there you could go ahead and display things like the KPIs, the ITSM, other APM data, all in one common portal so that everyone can understand. And then last slide is just about integrations. So we know SCOM isn't the only tool that contains important information. And then being able to visualize the data from all your other tools in a unified dashboard experience has become critical to most enterprises today. So by using integrations with SquaredUp, you can visualize critical information from your other tools and data sources, allowing you to create unified dashboards with real-time operational intelligence for all teams across all tools. And you can do this with the rich visualizations that are in SquaredUp to display your data in the best possible way in a single pane of glass. And these include the visualizations like the line graph, which allows you to show time series data, or even the donut visualization to show a summary of the data, along with the other visualizations listed there, so the bar graph, the spark lines, the grid, and the scalar. As I mentioned previously, this works with just about any tool that can support a REST API and return a JSON formatted response. This in turn gives you the ability to build the ideal unified dashboard by bringing more context to your existing SCOM dashboards. And then just again, we've listed some other tools there, so things like Azure DevOps, Dynatrace, New Relic. The list really is endless. Okay, so thanks for that. Let's dive into the demo. Let's just hop across to the browser. Perfect. So on this dashboard here, and let me just put it in full screen for you guys. Okay, so on this dashboard here, this is our NOC operator dashboard. So this is an out-of-the-box dashboard with SquaredUp. And here we're showing you a status donut tile, showing servers scoped by, grouped by their health state. We're then using that donut tile for an alert view here as well. So these are both alert donut tiles. One scoped by the severity and the other is scoped by the resolution state. We've also got a number of performance bar visualizations here. So we're showing things like the top 5 low disk, top 5 highest CPU, and the top 5 highest memory used. If we scroll down, we're then showing you an alert view, alert list view here. So this is showing us the alerts from the last 24 hours in more of a list formatted view here. And we scoped this just to show the top 5, but we can click show all to show the rest of them there. If we scroll down, we can then look at the matrix tile. So this is actually showing us some information for our unhealthy enterprise applications. And you can see the data we're displaying based on the availability checks here. So it's showing you the health state of the availability checks, the test from location, the actual URL, as well as the health state history and SLA information there as well. Now, if we scroll down here, we can then see some external data. So this is some active incidents from ServiceNow, pulled in using our ServiceNow tile. And down here, we can see the active changes, more data being pulled in from ServiceNow. And then here's just another view of a matrix tile, this time in the context of an unhealthy server. So you can see how flexible that tile is, the different information you can show depending on what object you've actually scoped it to. Now, before I move into the drill downs, I just want to show you a little bit about the new dashboard designer. So what I can do is just edit this dashboard that we have here. So you'll notice here when I edit that, I have options now to perhaps add new tiles to this dashboard. And when doing that, you can see if I click on to configure that new tile, I actually get a list of the different tile types that are available, as well as the visualizations for those tile types. Apologies, just a slight issue with GoToWebinar there. Just that across. Yeah, apologies about that. So yeah, just to show you that dashboard designer in action, you can see I get the list of the different tile types that are available there. But what I'll do, I'll just dive into the edit of one of these dashboards here. And you can see now that, sorry, one of these tiles here. So you can see now that the scoping options we get, we're scoped here to a group. We can go ahead and scope to a list if we want to just list a specific object. We can choose group, or we can go ahead and pick advanced, which will allow us to do a group as well as a class. I'll leave this as all Windows computers here. But if we now go ahead and select metric, you can see here we're scoped to processor information. But if I actually remove that metric and just click into the box, we actually get all the available metrics for the scope we've chosen. So it's a great way to know that you don't need to specifically know what metric you're looking for. You can just go ahead and click in that box and find it. And you can even then just use a partial match to then actually add that metric back in. And with that added in, it will then display the data in that tile. From here, I can also resize these and add new tiles anywhere on this dashboard. I'm going to actually discard the changes I've made here and actually create a new dashboard here, because you can see here we're not using this is a custom layout we're using here. So I just want to demonstrate how you go about achieving something like that. So from here, you'll notice that I've added a new dashboard and I immediately get this template picker. So I can choose a single tile dashboard or something even more complex, so like a 3-row layout 4 dashboard here. But if I just grab any one of these, you can see here it will create that layout. Now all I need to do is jump in and configure the tile. If I want to make any changes to the layout, I can do that. I can easily just drag these tiles to new locations, move those on top of each other like that. I could go ahead and delete tiles. I can split these tiles out, so I can add more tiles really easily like that. So it's a really the new dashboard designer is just a really great way to achieve a custom layout really easily straight out of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and just discard those changes. jump back to our NOC operator dashboard. And now I just want to move on to drill downs. So let's start with alert drill downs. I'm going to pick an alert from this list. So this list here, here we're showing all the new alerts basically. So you could scope this tile however you want. So you can scope it via different priorities. So if, things like severity or the resolution state, you can filter this down. We're just showing it by anything with a new resolution state of new. And I can go ahead and pick an alert. So I'm going to pick the Enterprise Application Windows Service Not Running alert here. So when we choose the alert, we immediately land on this alert perspective, giving us information around the alert. So we can see things like the hosting stack. So it shows us, what objects host the object that's generated the alert. We can see the alert description from here. We can see the alert history. So if the state has changed on here, we'll be able to see it from the alert history. We can see the company and product knowledge, which we also have the ability to edit. Just by clicking this button here, we can go ahead and edit that based on our, the rights we have within SCOM to do so. And then the context of the alert as well. Now, if I scroll back up, you can see we have a monitor perspective here as well. Now, if I dive into the monitor perspective, this gives us some information around the configuration of the monitor. If there are any overrides, we'd see the overrides here as well. And we can also see a health state history. So we can see the state change events, showing us if the monitor's, sort of flipped from healthy to unhealthy, or if there's been any sort of recent changes. And from here, we can even drill into these monitors as well. If I jump back up to the analytics, this is another out-the-box perspective. A really great view. All the tiles you see on this this perspective here are done by using the SQL tile, simply just by running a SQL query against the data warehouse. It then provides you with these insights into the alerts. You can see things like the average time to close, the most recent instances of these alerts, how many are currently open, things like the average time to close as well. Just some really useful analytics. Let me just hop back to the alert perspective here. And one thing I didn't mention was this affected applications tile. So this is actually showing us any affected applications. So based on an enterprise application or a distributed application, anything that might be affected by this alert. So we can see here our sales app is showing as unhealthy and affected. So let's drill into that. Now here's an example of an enterprise application, and this one seems to be a little unhealthy right now. So let me just, before I get into the availability all perspective, let me just talk about enterprise applications. So enterprise applications use a three-part application model, which breaks it down into objects. So the availability breaks it down into objects of availability, your map, so your topology view, and that's like an infrastructure view of the application, and then also the dependencies here as well. And this here just gives you a great visualization of the three-part application model. So here, availability, map, and dependencies that we've created. It's important to note here that the enterprise application's health is only rolled up from the availability monitoring. So that means the status and the uptime is meaningful to the business. You can go ahead and then report true SLA information against the application itself. Just going to jump back to the availability all perspective here just to talk that one through. So on this tile, on this dashboard, on this availability view, we've included the health and SLA data from our URL test, so similar to the one you saw on the NOC operator dashboard. But here, we've shown different time ranges for the SLA information, as well as the history here. So I think here we're showing the 12 hours worth of history, so we can see it's been sort of unhealthy at least once an hour for the last sort of 12 hours. Which really helps us out with our sort of troubleshooting here. And then it's great when we pair that up with the other information available on this page as well. So we've pulled in external data from Pingdom. So we've got some outside-in monitoring there, showing us the response time from different regions around the globe. And we can see here, we can see a lot of these response times are 0. So it's another indication that there's a problem with this enterprise application. We scroll down further, we can see we've embedded some graphs from New Relic, just loading in. There we go. So we embedded some graphs from New Relic just for some additional information around this enterprise application, some additional metrics there that we're collecting in New Relic. We then have the response time from SCOM. I think we actually had an issue with our management server over the night. So I think if I change it to 3 months, there we go. It's a bit of a nicer view to see there. And then just another view of our outside in monitoring from Pingdom, just using a different visualization here. And we can see some of these actually have API errors. So this indicates again that we've got an issue with this enterprise application. Now, just to show you Vader, so our visual application discovery and analysis tool, let's jump across to the map perspective here. And this is now the infrastructure view of our application. So we can see the key components from the web, app, and SQL tiers. And this has all been done by running netstat using your SCOM agents. So SquaredUp will provide you with the inbound and outbound traffic for each node, and it will then pair that information with the service or the processes that are communicating at the time that the discovery is run. SquaredUp will automatically create the TCP port checks between the component groups, as well as the Windows services that have been discovered. So we can see here, just at a glance looking at this, we can see here that the TCP port checks between everything in our web tier here are failing against our app02 server. And we can also see that order proc win service is unhealthy as well, and that's sort of then based upon the alert we were looking at. So we started by looking at an alert based on the service being down. We were then able to navigate to the affected application, see our availability perspective and see our app was down, and then just dive across to the infrastructure and actually see that alert and how that's impacting our application here. So what I can do directly from this view, I can drill down into any of these objects. So I'm actually going to go ahead and drill into our order proc win service. So we can see here our unhealthy Windows service. I'm just going to hop to the Windows service perspective. And from here, I can actually go ahead and start the service back up. So I can actually go ahead and hit task, choose task, and then just go ahead and start service, and then execute that from here. That will give us the task output. We can see here the task is completed successfully. So hopefully we've now resolved that issue with our Windows service being stopped, and we've hopefully fixed our enterprise application being down for all our users. It'll probably take SCOM a few minutes just to recalculate that health. So what I'm going to do is just dive back to our sales app. I'm going to do this, go into our applications, and then taking a look at our all enterprise application screen here and just looking at our sales app directly. As we can see here, it is still unhealthy, but like I say, it might take a few minutes for SCOM to recalculate that. I mean, just looking here, I can see that the response time's already starting back up. Still not great, but it's at least starting back up for some of our regions. But let's just dive into map from here and just show you a little bit around how Vader actually works. So if I dive into edit app here, and again, this is that 3-part application model that we spoke about, availability, map, and dependencies. If I dive into map components, so we can see here, this is now in the discovery view of this application. And what we could just do is start by clicking on these nodes, and it should begin to discover the TCP port connections between these groups here. So if we hover above this here, we can see a communication on port 1433 via order proc win service to these database servers here. Hovering here, we can see a port check on 1521, and then we can see the faint lines behind that, indicating that it is the order proc win service here, which is communicating. We can then do this the other way, so we can see a +3 from this side. We can go ahead and expand those connections and get an idea on the communication between those. And then from there, once we map that out, we can go ahead and save that enterprise application, and that would save to a management pack within SCOM. Now what I'm going to do is just go back to view dashboard from here. I won't save any of those changes. I'll go ahead and jump back to view dashboard. And while we wait for that to recalculate, I just want to show you through some of the other dashboards that are available here, or some of the other perspectives that are available against the enterprise application, or some of the other perspectives that we've created against the enterprise application. So we've got things like ServiceNow. So this is using the ServiceNow tile. We've integrated with ServiceNow to show you the open incidents and changes for this enterprise application. And these are all related to this sales app. So these are objects that we've mapped in ServiceNow as business services. So we can see here things like the SQL tier and the web tier. We can see the incidents based upon those. If I dive across to Splunk, here's a great perspective showing us some log information from Splunk, but all based on this enterprise application. And this is also showing you some of those new visualizations for the integrations here. So things like the line graph, the bar chart, and the donut visualizations all here. In addition to that, let's jump across to SQL. So this is going to be showing you data from SCOM, and this is SCOM data that we've used. And from here, we used our performance report visualization to compare the metrics and timeframes, helping us to understand comparative metrics, you know, whether perhaps that spike you're seeing is something that's normal, or it's just users accessing the application, or, you know, it's something that actually needs to be investigated. If I actually drill into one of these databases, I just want to show you drilling down into performance data. So if we look at this active connections performance data, for example, we can actually go ahead and drill down into that by clicking into it. And here's where we can see that, that long-term retention of that data. So we can see things like 12 months, 6 months, all really simply at a click. I can even go ahead and choose all and see as far back as the 2019, December 2019 for this data, which is super fast compared to what you're probably used to in the SCOM console. We can even choose to compare this data. So I could compare this, choose to compare this as a list, and list a different database, so perhaps the same database but on SQL 01 rather than 02, and we can then compare that data in the same view here. We could also then go ahead and export this data to Excel by using the export to Excel option. Or if we were sending this to another SquaredUp user, we could just grab the URL and send that over. This URL will be unique, and no matter what time frame you change to, it will be unique. So you can send that over as long as they can authenticate with SquaredUp, and they'll be able to view exactly what you're looking at on this screen. Now, in addition to, just while we're on the subject of sharing, I just want to show you the open access option. I'm going to dive across to our sales app here, our sales app dashboard. And this might be a great dashboard to share out. We might want this on the wallboard, or we want to share this into in a meeting with perhaps non-SquaredUp users, or even with people who don't perhaps have this access to this type of data, the ServiceNow data, or the current connections or current attempts connections from SCOM. So what you can do is actually use open access within SquaredUp. If I just enable open access, this is a great way to share your dashboard. So the great thing about it is the data is up to date. So now that I've shared that, I should be able to either hit preview or select open access. I'm going to go ahead and just choose preview. It should open this up in a new tab. I have my open access in light mode, so yeah, apologies, that's dived up in light mode, but you can select it to be dark mode as well. But you'll see here how now this data is available to us. It's a unique link. You see there's no other dashboards at the top here. There's no sort of SquaredUp search or any navigation away. I can hover above, so there's a slight interaction with this data. I could hover above the ServiceNow incidents and even drill into those if I wanted to and be taken to the ServiceNow portal. But if I want to interact with any of this SCOM data, I will have to have a named user license within SquaredUp. So it's just a really great way to share those dashboards with without using up a named user license, and without having to train anyone to use any of these other tools. You can have that dashboarding available to you. Now let me just jump back to the slides. We're coming close to time here, and that's sort of all I wanted to show you in terms of the demo aspect. So yeah, get started today. We offer a 30-day free trial over at squaredup.com/free trial. And the trial is completely unlimited, so you have unlimited users, unlimited dashboards, unlimited applications and integrations. We want this to be, get involved with as many users as you can, try it out, create as many dashboards as you want in your environment, and test out the enterprise application features. Check out our knowledge base, support.squaredup.com/SCOM. Some great resources on there for everything that I've showed you in the demo, all the different tile types. They're all explained, and there's deep dives into each of them, as well as information on things I haven't been able to cover in the demo. So, some deep dives into more of the technical aspects of the product. And if you're not on there already, go ahead and check out our community answers platform, which is community.squaredup.com/answers. Now, before I go, I just wanted to highlight our sister company, Cookdown. Cookdown have been spun out from SquaredUp to focus more on the SCOM extensions and improving the SCOM experience. They offer seamless integrations to enhance your ServiceNow deployment with direct integrations to SCOM with their alert sync and discovery, allowing you to raise incidents in ServiceNow from your SCOM alerts, actually see the incident data in SCOM, close SCOM alerts when an incident's resolved, so the ability to do that is great, and correlate alerts, so reduce the amount of incidents raised by correlating those alerts. And you can even go ahead and populate your ServiceNow CMDB from SCOM, so allowing you to join the dots between the individual CIs with the services as well. And they're all available over on cookdown.com. And just to introduce you to some of their free solutions that will actually help you improve your SCOM experience. They have EasyTune, which is a management pack which allows you to tune a whole management pack in a single click, set different overrides on different days and times, automate alert tuning, and capture effective overrides from SCOM 2019 upgrades. They have the self-maintenance management pack, which allows you to wrap several common maintenance and administrative tasks for Operations Manager into a management pack, so they can be self-managed. You can then automate away the common SCOM admin tasks. The PowerShell authoring MP, which is a great MP that allows you to use PowerShell to create new monitoring. So whether that's rules or monitors, even agent tasks, anywhere that you previously see VB script in the authoring console, you'll now be given the option to use PowerShell instead. The community MP catalog helps you, immediately discover and manage all of the best management packs available in the SCOM community, providing instant visibility to dozens of awesome management packs right within SCOM itself. And lastly, the ServiceNow monitoring MP. So you can actually go ahead and monitor ServiceNow itself from SCOM agents and see what experience your users are having, in terms of things like latency and availability. And these are all free SCOM MPs available on cookdown.com. And then lastly, it's just an example dashboard created in SquaredUp, but using Cookdown. So here we've got the donut tile on the left, which are incidents created from SCOM alerts using alert sync. We can see the alerts with incidents on the right, the top right there. These are SCOM alerts with status on the incidents created by alert sync as well. And then we're actually monitoring ServiceNow with this performance information. So you can see using the ServiceNow monitoring MP, we're showing information like the free memory per node and the ServiceNow instance availability as well. So yeah, that brings me to the end of today's webinar. I hope you've enjoyed seeing SquaredUp for SCOM. Like I said, please go ahead and try it out. If you have any further queries, please do reach out to us. And thank you again for joining, and have a great day.